I've got everything ready to start auto-crafting power modules from Gendustry, because I would like to make the Scooperator MX200 Turbo, because we're going to go and hunt down some bees. And we're going to head over to our RF Tools dimension for this, for the simple reason that the ground is nice and flat and it'll be a lot easier to spot beehives. So in short, forestry has all kinds of different species of bees that can produce different kinds of resources depending on how you breed them. You can produce things like quartz and enderpearls, for example. So you see I'm out here breaking different types of hives, which yield a very basic breed of bees, but we're definitely going to need these to get started with the bee breeding process. So as you can see, I crafted this Apiaris backpack, which automatically picks up any bees that I collect, and it puts them in this backpack. Now you'll notice that since I've broken a bunch of meadows hives and forests and wintry, we have their respective princesses and drones. And I'll show you what we can do with those later, but we're looking for pristine princesses. The ignoble princesses will eventually become completely useless, seeing as they die out, whereas pristine will never die out. Now the reason that you want to make sure that your princesses don't die out is because the only way, as far as I know, to get princesses is to break hives, but you can infinitely reproduce drones if you have a pristine princess of that species. Okay, I'm pretty sure I'm good on bees now. I've gotten a bunch of honeycombs, frozen combs, silky, parched, and mossy, and check out all these bees. Pretty sure I've gotten one of every hive species at least, and I think I've got at least 2 pristine of every princess as well, so we should be set to start breeding bees. So I put my honeycombs in my system, and we're going to make probably just 3 bee houses for now. The bee houses are just a very simple way of getting your bees started. I'm also going to bring a fully infused power cell with me because we're going to need to bring power to where I'm going. I figure I'll set up my bees in some other place besides underground here because it's getting a little gloomy down here, to be honest, and I'd like to go somewhere like a forest or something like that. I've got this recipe of bronze auto crafting because we need it for sturdy casing and a carpenter. We'll also get a lot of use out of a squeezer as well. Let's go try to find a nice relaxing sanctuary for our bees. Found a nice and open area here. Unfortunately, there's lavender flowers everywhere, so I think I'm going to start setting things up right here. We'll just go ahead and put our power cell in the ground here, running power conduits underneath. Set everything to output, and I'll put my matter receiver down there so I'm able to teleport back and forth. I'm actually going to remove my nether target and set it to that so we can always get back here no matter what. And then first and foremost, let's go ahead and get a pristine forest princess, as well as a bunch of forest drones. And then let's get a pristine meadows princess, as well as their drones. So I'm just going to place these bee houses like this. Now the bee houses are a very, very simple way of reproducing your drones. You cannot automatically input or output of the bee houses, and you cannot speed these up in any way as of right now. So what I can do is, I think shift click just works. Shift click our forest and then the drone in there. And over time, it makes a forest queen. Now, it says right here that hive members are not finding the right flowers. Use the beelizer to learn their flower preference. So it just told us we need to make a beelizer. So seeing as I forgot actually quite a bit of things back at base, I'm going to go back to base and then we'll be right back. I'm going to make myself a couple of ender tanks as well because we need water. And we'll also bring with us a bit of seeds so we can make some seed oil. So up here, I'll configure this reservoir to output into the top, place my ender tank down, and it's now filling this ender tank with water. Perfect. Now we can head back. Let me set down some conduits here, as well as a squeezer and a carpenter. Perfect. So first, let's set up a fluid conduit here, an ender tank, making sure that the bottom is going into the fluid conduit here. Set that to input and that to extract. I don't think it really matters. And now we're getting water in here. So if we put glass panes like this, some tin like that, diamonds, and redstone, and put all those ingredients in there, slowly it will start creating it's called the portable analyzer now because it works for everything like bees, trees, and butterflies. Now, trees and butterflies are a whole different story, but today is just bees. Okay, I'm actually going to disconnect this water tank for right now because rather than using water, later on we'll need to use seed oil in the carpenter. So I really didn't need to go through all that trouble making an ender tank, honestly, but a portable water tank is very good to have. We actually needed one more thing that I totally forgot about. We need to make a centrifuge. And we'll just place it right next to these and toss some honeycombs in. Slowly but surely, we get honey drops and should get some other things too eventually. Yeah, beeswax and honey drops. So the portable analyzer actually uses honey drops kind of as fuel. So now if we toss this Forest Queen in here, it analyzes it and tells us that for flowers, it requires just regular old flowers. So really any Minecraft flower. We see its lifespan, production, pollination, flower type, fertility, territory. Really all I'm going to be worried about today is the fertility, the lifespan, and flowers, of course. And you can see its humidity tolerance, climate, if it's nocturnal or what. When it says nocturnal, it means that the bee will only produce things during the day, obviously. So now we can put this queen back in the bee house, place a flower right behind it. And there you go. Very, very slowly. Eventually, that forest queen will die and create another princess and 3 drones since the fertility was 3. And also, I've got a mod installed called TOP add-ons, and it adds a lot of the one probe support with forestry. So in the bottom left there, you can see the progress bar. So as I said, this is a very simple way of reproducing drones and producing combs and such, but we can do a lot better than this, and that's what I'm going to do right now. Believe me, we are going to get into building a better looking area for these bees, but I really just want to get this process automated, the process of creating queens and then killing them off, getting princesses and drones, and just infinitely multiplying our drones before I build the base so that we have them going while we're doing other things. So there you go. We got our first little hint of progress there. Just break my carpenter because I need that carpenter to start filling with some seed oil. Just put some regular old seeds in there and slowly we get seed oil. And I'll just connect these up with fluid conduits. And we got seed oil going. Okay, so in the carpenter with wood logs just like that and 250 millibuckets of seed oil, we'll start producing these impregnated casings. And these are required to craft an apiary. And these are wonderful. Let's just go ahead and get rid of our redundant bee houses here. I don't even know why I made those. But these are awesome in that, as I said before, you can automate the input and output of bees. And also, you can put things in these little slots here, and I'll show you what these slots are used for. But first, let's go ahead and put our Meadows Princess and our Meadows Drone in there. Let's go ahead and analyze this queen. So Meadows only needs flowers, so that's good. And it should be able to produce in this climate. Toss our drones back in there and put a flower right behind it. So I'm going to stop this process. Going to replace that with another apiary. Oh wow, it looks like it keeps its progress, so that's really cool. And then we'll just place chests beside each one of these. Having conduits like this, set these both to input and output. And do the same for this one. So the drones will get output from this slot as well as the princess. The combs will go in that chest as well, but combs cannot go in here, so it will automatically put the princess here and the drone there. Eventually, as time goes on, we'll get a bunch of Meadows drones. So very soon, this queen is going to die out, and let's see what happens when it does. There we go. The queen died, we got a princess, and the princess in the drone created a new queen. And since it's pristine, the princess will always drop from the queen, infinitely getting drones. But currently this process is very, very slow, if you couldn't tell. So we're gonna get to making some impregnated sticks. And with these impregnated sticks, we can make some impregnated frames. And then we'll toss those in with our forest bees. And of course, these will increase the production by 2 and decrease genetic decay by 0.4. I don't believe that matters with pristine stock. And we're going to improve all of this later. I know a lot of people won't agree with how I'm going to improve this, but just please stick it through and wait to hear my reasoning. And we can finally get started with building. So there we are. This is the bee house. And with the help of my CAD, we finished it pretty quickly, actually. It's not the biggest area. I mean, I'm thinking eventually we'll make this multi-layered, but we definitely have to make sure that the apiaries have a clear path to the sky, or else they won't be able to breed. We've got quite a bit of honeycombs here, and they've been creating drones for a while. This process is definitely very slow, and a lot of the hardcore forestry fans are going to hate me for this, but we are going to get into Gendustry soon. And we're going to get pretty deep into Gendustry, actually, hopefully covering the majority of the Gendustry machines. We see that combining any hive bee with another hive bee has a chance, 15% chance of creating a common queen. And the reason that I need to go through this process is because my goal for today is to make a demonic queen, because demonic bees produce glowstone, and I'm very short on glowstone, so I definitely need that. And of course, demonic requires sinister, sinister requires cultivated, which requires common and any hive bee, and really just goes from there. Fiendish requires a sinister. We need to go down that whole line, and if we're only relying on this percent chance here, this is going to take not in-game days, but real-life days to get this done. So Gendustry is going to allow us to actually choose what offspring we want, at the cost of some RF and some mutagen. If I'm trying to put these videos out in a somewhat timely manner, which I really have been trying to, we definitely want to save some time here. So the first thing I've got here is a mutagen producer. We also need a mutatron, but we want an advanced version. So this is the advanced mutatron. We're going to bring a bunch of redstone blocks with us as well. The figure will start expanding over to this side of the room, because this is where we're going to put all of our Gendustry machines so that we can start with some genetic manipulation of some bees. So I'll just put my mutagen producer right there, connect power to it. Just toss some blocks of redstone right there in this slot, and slowly it will start producing some mutagen. And then just place the advanced mutatron right next to it, and it will automatically accept the mutagen. And it also requires some power. So there we go, that finished its first little processing of mutagen. We've got 900 of the stuff. If we look in JEI, the first step to creating a demonic queen is going to be Fiendish. That's the highest tier. And that requires a Sinister Princess, which requires a Cultivated Princess, that requires a Common, which is just any Hive Bee paired with any Hive Bee drone. But they have to be opposite. So we're just going to take one drone out of this apiary. We're going to go in our apiarist backpack and get one of these princesses, and definitely going to get a pristine stock. There we go, we got a forest princess. All we can do, just put our princess in the top there, and our drone on the bottom, and all we got to do is choose. But obviously we're missing something in the top slot here. The thing we're missing is genetics labware. And we're going to get a bunch of this because we're going to need a bunch of this. Just put that right there. Click that. And there we go. We have a common queen, and it's pristine as well. But I'm not going to throw this in these apiaries. We are going to try to find a new way of reproducing drones. And a better way, if I may say. I've been really trying to cut out all the auto-crafting programming in my videos, but we're definitely going to want to start auto-crafting the industrial apiaries, for sure. We'll make 6 for now. Okay, so we'll just take these 3 for the time being. And one more thing that I want to get to auto-crafting are the automation upgrades. The automation upgrades allow for the queens to die out and the princesses and the drones to automatically be put into their respective slots, and then just keep breeding over and over again until the end of time, basically. And pick up the rest of my apiaries. And dig out yet another area underneath for our apiaries. Or at least the conduits. So I'll just line them all up just like this. That's fine for now. We're only going to be using about 3 of these at the moment. We have our common queen here, but we don't know what kind of flower or anything that it requires, so let's analyze it. This requires regular old flowers. Doesn't matter the climate, pretty much the same as our meadows and forests. So we can just toss this, and I'm going to toss it in this apiary actually, since it's the 3rd down the line. And if we put the automation upgrade in, we don't have to loop the conduits back into it. It will just automatically pick that princess and drone back and put it into these slots, so we don't have to worry about that. And just going to do the same for all of these. And we can now put our forests and our meadows right back where they were. You can see that's going. There are other upgrades that you can make, like upgrades that emulate like hell or deserts. You can speed up the production with the production upgrades, and you can shorten the lifespan so that this goes quicker with the lifespan upgrades. You do need fermented spider eyes though, so that's going to be kind of tough. But for now, this is good. All we need is a few drones of each ladder to slowly move up in this process. Look at that, we got honeycombs. But we currently have no way to pipe these items out and send them to the refined storage system, so we're gonna try to figure out a way to do that. And instead of using ender chests, we're gonna explore a different route of long-range item transport. We're gonna do a little experimentation with some RF tools and modular storage. These things are very cool. Then also make one storage module tier 3. Get us a couple remote storage modules, and then make the remote storage itself. So for now, we'll just place the remote storage right here, put our storage module in that slot, and link both of our remote storage modules to this actual storage module. What happens is, if we place both of these down, and place one remote storage module in each one, say we want to throw some genetics labware in there, that now appears in this one. So it's basically ender chests, but done better, and it can store tons of items. 300 different stacks of items. So obviously we're not going to be storing genetic labware in these, but we will be connecting them to an external storage and piping all of our honeycombs and bees into the modular storage. so that eventually when we do get a huge backlog of drones and honeycombs, they will automatically be detected by our system. And then we'll go ahead and just plop this down underground here and connect some item conduits to it. And I'm just going to configure all these to extract. And there we go. Now, if we did everything right, there should be some honeycombs. Another thing I forgot is make sure this external storage is set to a very low priority. So we'll set it to like 101 or something. Because as you can see, I've got some ender pearls and stuff in here. But we did get those honeycombs, so that's good. We know it's working. So there is that problem solved. Now if we look in here, we do have one common drone. And one common drone is plenty to progress one more further in this process. So next up, to get a cultivated, we need a common paired with any hive bee. So we're going to get a meadows or a forest, because that's what I seem to have the most of. And of course, we'll make it pristine. Just toss that in our advanced mutatron. And we've got a cultivated queen. Awesome. We'll put her in the beealyzer. No effects or anything like that. And just requires flowers, so that's definitely good. So there we go. So a modest princess plus a cultivated drone will get us a Sinister Queen. So Sinister is where this starts getting good. Sinister Bees produce these things called phosphor, and phosphor can actually be used in a squeezer combined with cobble, red sand, sand, and dirt to make lava. So that's going to be awesome. But the thing is, Sinister is going to require a little more work to get going. As you can see, it requires flower type nether, and it really likes to be in arid humidity and in a hellish climate. So we're going to need to do some things to get this bee breeding in this environment. And that's going to require a few more machines from Gendustry. Now, as you can see, these recipes require a lot of steps. So I am going to autocraft them. Oh man, check this out. We are completely full on crafters. That is crazy. But I've just got these things auto-crafted: genetic transposer, genetic imprinter, and the genetic sampler. There's that. There's the sampler. And lastly, the imprinter. We'll need a genetic template, as well as a bunch of blank gene samples. And then I'll bring with me a hell emulation upgrade. Then I'll put my sampler here, my printer here, and then my transposer here. So what we can do is we know that forest drones and meadows drones require flowers, just regular Minecraft flowers, to be able to produce. So we are going to try and extract that gene and imprint that gene onto this Sinister Queen. So the sampler does require some labware. It also requires blank gene samples. And all you do is you put drones in this slot and really just hope for the best. And we got humidity tolerance none. It's not what I'm looking for, so we'll save that for later. And there is a way that you can convert these back into the blank gene samples. Lifespan shorter, that's good. Fertility 3, that is very good to have, but as you can see, my inventory is getting quite full, so I'm going to return to this spot with some things, and we're going to create some automated system of converting these back into blank gene samples. But look at that. We did get flowers. Oh, and we also got a species forest gene, so that allows for the actual total conversion of any bee to a different species. So we could convert this Sinister Queen into a forest queen with this sample. We'll set these things up just like right here for now. So alloy smelter, furnace only, inputting from the top, outputting from here, chest, and then having conduits going into the genetic sampler. There we go. So now we can put everything that we don't want into this chest and keep everything that we do want. Now let me show you something else that's pretty cool. In the genetic transposer, we can put labware and put whatever gene sample that we'd like to copy in the top slot there, some blank gene samples down here, and it basically just duplicates that at the cost of some energy and some blank gene samples. So now we've got a bunch of these flowers gene samples. I'm also going to copy some fertility as well. But I'm still looking for another gene trait for our Sinister Queen. As you can see, its effect here, it says it's aggressive. So anytime we walk near the hive, it will damage us. So we're going to try and get the effect none trait from these Meadows drones. And there we go. On the last couple of bees, we finally got it. Awesome. And just in a crafting grid, we'll put our genetic template in there with fertility 3, flowers, no effects, and I believe that that is it for now. So toss that in the genetic imprinter with our Sinister Queen. And we've now got a Sinister Queen that has a fertility of 3. It likes flowers and it has no negative effects, but it still prefers hellish climate and an arid humidity. So the way we solve that is we'll just toss the queen in here. See that? Too cold, too humid, but once we put this hell emulation upgrade in there, it's perfectly fine. And since this has the shortest lifespan, this will be going fairly quickly, still not super quickly. And look at that, we got our first comb. Just one more thing we'll do while we're waiting is we're gonna set this conduit to a -1 priority and run these item conduits and going into our centrifuge as first priority. And of course extracting again. So all combs should automatically go into the centrifuge first because it will only accept combs. Then when they're done, everything will get stored in our modular storage. So look at that, phosphor. So obviously that Sinister Bee up there produced a comb and it automatically got made into some phosphor. But I guess we'll set this to insert and extract so I can throw these combs in there and they will get output automatically. Look at that, perfect. And now we wait. And then I've gone ahead and just created a medium-sized storage crate from Actually Editions so that we can store our gene samples in it. So I've got some Sinister drones and I'm going to take a Modest Princess and breed these two together to get either a Frugal Queen or a Fiendish Queen. We're looking for the Fiendish Queen for sure. And then of course we're going to imprint the stats that we had before onto this bee. Okay, now we have the Fiendish Queen. The Fiendish Queen produces ash and simmering combs. Again, simmering combs is phosphor. Okay, I'm back with my hell upgrades, and this bee should be good to go. There is a lot of waiting involved in bee breeding, if you couldn't tell. Just imagine how bad it would be if we had to do this the normal way. Yeah, I don't even want to think about that. And we're pretty much constantly getting combs now, so that's good. Oh my gosh, I did not even notice. Look at this, the Fiendish Queen's lifespan is long. That is no good. We need lifespan shorter, for sure. That in there, and that in there. I was wondering why it was taking so long. We should be good now. This should be going a lot quicker now. While I wait, I'm gonna start auto-crafting some light upgrades. Now what the light upgrades will do is they will allow our bees to breed and produce resources for us while it's night. I don't actually think these need light upgrades, but I'm gonna put them in there anyways. And I'm also going to try and extract the shortest lifespan trait from these cultivated drones. So I couldn't quite get the slowest lifespan trait from those common drones. Ended up getting a bunch of random stuff, but our Fiendish Queen is almost done. And we just need one drone. I've already got a Sinister Princess here ready. Okay, there we go. So it looks like the industrial apiaries only take one drone, and then they put the rest in wherever you have them set to output. And I set up another modular storage here so I can have easy access to my things. So let's get a Fiendish drone here. As you can see, that queen lost its effect none trait for some reason. I don't know why they're losing that trait. It's so weird. Maybe there's something I'm not understanding, but we can put our Sinister and Fiendish in here and get our first demonic queen. And if you've forgotten, the demonic queens produce glowstone, so this is going to be an infinite source of glowstone. And of course, simmering combs, which do produce phosphor, which I've probably said at least 10 times in this video. I actually got this speed fast sample, so I'm going to apply this to the genetic template. And then we will imprint the queen. Apparently the speed trait adds to the multiplier that affects the chance that a bee has every tick or so to produce a resource like combs or glowstone. That's coming from the source that I read that from, so we'll see what happens. And now let's get this bee going. Toss the automation upgrade back in there. I took it out for a sec because I wanted a princess, a sinister princess. Oh, wow, look at that, a comb already. For the short while that I've been sitting around here, I'm actually imprinted all my queens with this new fast speed trait. I've gotten 3 glowstone, so that's not bad. Definitely next time we get into bees, we'll be making some production upgrades, which do require royal jelly. And this comes from the Imperial Queen, which is just noble. That's common and cultivated. And then majestic is noble and cultivated, which we do have common and cultivated. So that shouldn't be too hard, but that's all the time that I have. Yeah, and also next time we get into bees, we'll be making some lava with this phosphor. Possibly maybe even some fireproof wood. I have no idea, but hope this kind of convinced you to start bees, because I know a lot of people are kind of off-put by it because of how grindy it is. At least the regular old forestry bees. But I think it's a lot more fun this way, seeing as you can get things done a lot quicker. And please keep in mind that what may not be fun for you is fun for others, and what may be fun for you is not fun for others. So really, fun comes down to personal preference, and this is what is fun to me. So thanks so much for watching once again. Thanks for commenting and leaving your support in the comments and letting me know what you liked and what you'd like to see in the future. So have a wonderful day and goodbye.